Thursday, January, April 9th, 20. My God, it's Thursday, April 11th, 2024. Um, and boy, did the gals get heated on The View today. Their opening hot topic was about um, Joe Biden going to this sort of the groundbreaking of different infrastructure projects and what's his name? One of his chiefs of staff, is it Ron Kane? Is that his name? Forget. Sort of criticized Biden for not talking about the kitchen table problems of Americans, and spending too much time talking about bridges. And boy, did those ladies well. Amy Alyssa Farrah Fowler Griffin and Whoopi kind of went at it. And uh, Amy Alyssa Farrah Fowler's Griffin point was he can't not be, he can't be free from consequence or free from criticism. And then people need to have the ability to point out where his shortcomings are coming from, whatever. And which is true, a valid point. But she was hammering the economics of what's going on at the grocery store. Um, and it's like, okay, yeah, these things are true. Things are more expensive, but there really aren't a lot of things that Joe Biden himself can do to fix that. Um, uh, but he can, as to Sarah's point, campaign on um, the idea that he can do something about it. Whoopi got all mad about he's doing what he needs to do doing, and when she gets all frustrated, she cannot get out a sentence properly, and it's painful to watch. But she's talking about the bridge that fell in Baltimore, and that's kind of important. If he's not addressing that, then he's skirting the whole issue and ignoring those people's needs. And she couldn't really express the biggest problem with that bridge collapse in Baltimore is that the bridge fell into the river. That river is to one of the busiest ports in the country, for getting goods in and out. So it's like they need to get that bridge out of the water, so the boats can come back in and out. That is a huge supply chain problem. That has nothing to do with the prices at the grocery store. The prices at the grocery store are pure greed. That's just corporate greed. And Sunny at one point says, we need those grocery people to be better corporate citizens. Well, I believe we had a profit cap bill from the Democrats that the Republicans wouldn't vote for. Um, there are legislative devices that could be used, but this Congress isn't going to do it because the Republicans in the House don't want to do anything. They've made it very clear that they're not going to pass any legislation that helps anybody before the election. Um, and I did see his reaction. Somebody asked Biden what he thought of the abortion law in Arizona, which is just fucking ridiculous. Um, and his answer was, "Vote for me. I live in the 21st century," which I thought was pretty funny. And if you think about it, if the other guy is trying to take things back to the 1950s, is that I think that's what he wants in the Make America Great Again, when things sucked for anybody who wasn't a straight white person. Um, he's living in the past too. So it's a good point. I'm in the 21st century. Um, they should maybe capitalize on that. But uh, to Sarah's point and to Amy Farrah Fowler Griffin's joke or uh, you know problem is that um, he can talk about it more, but he has to talk about everything, right? If he talks about one thing, then why is he not paying attention to Israel? If he's talking about Israel, he's not paying attention to the groceries. If he's paying attention to the groceries, he's not paying attention to the bridges. Is he not paying attention to climate change? Is he not paying attention to? So it's a no-win situation. No matter what the president is talking about, there's always something that he isn't talking about. So it's I get Whoopi's frustration, but man, she could not get that point across at all. So it got a lot of crosstalk and a lot of yelling. Um, and that's sort of intermingled with the whole traditional wife thing, this whole trad wife that is popular with young people that there. And again, it's like some sort of idealized idea of what um, of what that means. It sounds like, oh, you know, you wear dresses and pearls and you have lunches, and it's like, no, it's not what that is. Um, you know, if you really want to go back to Tradwife, you've got no financial agency. You've got, if you want to go back far enough, you have no ability to vote, right? You can't drive your own car. You can get locked up in an insane asylum by your husband against your will. Like, there's a lot of things you don't want to turn the clock back on. Um, so, especially as a woman or a person of color or part of the LGBTQ plus community or an immigrant. There's a whole bunch of shit that just is not good. If from our, you know, previous generations. Um, but there was one point where Amy Lisset Farfalla Griffin was trying to get to her point. She's very wordy. She says too many words. And everything's got a little caveat, and it's like, and it all comes out as if like these are new thoughts, and it's like, honey, we get to the point. We know we've been around the table before. Um, and and she said, I'm no supporter of Joe Biden, but I don't want Trump to win. And and Joy butted in and said, if you don't want Trump to win, then you got to vote for Joe Biden. And the crowd went all woo, and Sarah got all, and then it, they never really, they didn't go through that. I don't know if somebody's told them to nix that whole conversation, but I would have liked to have had that conversation, because I don't understand how you can be never Trump, never Trump, never Trump, never Trump, and then not just fully throatedly say vote for Joe Biden. I can't understand that dichotomy. It's um, and what you have to go through, the mental gymnastics to say, I can't have this one option win this election, but I can't bring myself to say I will support his only viable opponent. Like, you have to make, like, have some conviction. If this is your thing, you really just don't, you cannot have Trump win, then it's very easy. And you got to support the other one, even if you don't like him. I don't get this whole idealized version of a candidate. He doesn't represent everything I want. Well, you know what? What do you know what he represents? Joe Biden represents um, keeping democracy, and I know that sucks. And I know that, you know, people 30 and under have had Donald Trump as a presidential nominee their entire time they've been allowed to vote, and that sucks. And every election we've said democracy's on the ballot, and every election we've meant it more and more, and it's exhausting, and I get it. But um, you know, we need one more shot, uh, because in another 4 years, he will be in prison or dead. And speaking of dead, O.J. Simpson died this morning, and I hope it was painful.